Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tariq. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and to watch my previous videos. Since I've been gone for a while, I wanted to start with a recap of all the things I've been talking about in my previous videos, adding more details and more evidence. In my very first video, I talked about now being the end times. One key point I mentioned about the world ending is the entity of money being the center of our society. Another point I touched on was our world going from natural to unnatural, which can be seen with the advancement of technology and by the destruction of the natural world. The earth has over time become increasingly unnatural and overrun with trash and filth. The happening of these events in history are signs of a time that has been foretold by many different ancient peoples, including the early Christians, the Mayans, and the Hopi. In this video, I will point out some more signs of the times and go over some ancient prophecies given by these groups that describe today perfectly. The early Christians gave an end-time prophecy that most Christian Americans believe in today. This prophecy is in the book of Revelation. This book of the Holy Bible was given as a vision to a prophet named John. John describes what will happen before, during, and after what some call the rapture, the apocalypse, or the end of the world. Biblical scholars agree the purpose of the revelation to John is to encourage the faithful to resist sin and that the final battle between God and Satan will come soon. The believers are sealed against spiritual harm and will soon be vindicated when Christ returns, when the wicked are destroyed forever, and when God's people enter an eternity of glory and blessedness. So I found this list of the signs John mentioned in the book of Revelation, and they were put into context of today's society. I found this list searching The World is Ending 2018 on Google, and out of this list I chose some points to elaborate on. So end of world sign number 1 is that people would be lovers of pleasure more than God. Citizens of the world seek pleasure more than the presence of God, and all it takes is one look around to see that we are very distracted with television, partying, sex, drugs, drinking, shopping, social media, and video games. A lot of people have forgotten and dismissed the wonders our Creator has created for us and spend time in an ego state of mind that is mostly concerned with pleasure for the self. End of world sign number 2. People will be covetous. The definition of the verb covet is to yearn to possess or have something. Citizens of the world covet pretty much anything offered to us, from new phones, houses, cars, other people's boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, or wives. Our programming tells us if we want it, we can have it. So we spend a lot of time wishing and wanting and trying to obtain everything we see the people around us having. The worst part is, this happens so often we barely recognize that as an issue at all, let alone a sign of the end of the world. End of world sign number 3. People will be boasters and proud. Although pride was the original sin, it has become the norm of today. With social media and the internet connecting the world and giving our individual selves a platform, there has been a shift in consciousness, turning our minds especially to the way we look, but also to the way others perceive us. The way we dress, speak, and think are filled with attention-seeking tendencies. Tight, revealing clothing for women and for men, nice cars, phones, and houses all tell onlookers we want attention and respect, and the chance to say we fit in and have accomplished things here in this world. Citizens of the world are profane and obsessed with complaining and competing. Our thought patterns mirror this, and many people have bitter, envious hearts. End of world sign number 4. People will be unthankful and unholy. People today are unthankful because we are programmed to think if we want it, we work hard for it, and we get it on our own, so there's no need to give thanks to anyone but to ourselves. We thank ourselves by treating ourselves to frivolous and non-stop shopping, eating, and entertainment with fast food, music, movies, and games. We are encouraged to do so by the constant and consistent advertising around us, keeping us updated with the next best thing. Not only are we unthankful, there is a general sentiment that if anyone gets in the way of getting what you want, you have every right to be angry and upset. This mindset breeds bitterness, anger, and jealousy. We do not know our divine origin, so we live in filth. Sorry, I lost my place. This part is just, it's just like we really don't know our divine origin. We don't understand that when there was the story of Adam and Eve, right? In that story, it specifies that God made us. That means we come directly from God. And then something that has been bothering me a lot lately is that people, they call Yeshua Jesus and they call Yeshua the Son of God, but they don't allow that same title to fit them. You have to do something to earn that title of being the child of God. But we are all children of God because we are all descendants from this one creation that He made. We are all coming from Adam and Eve. And then that story itself, this is why I just want to keep doing yeah, I just want to keep going with this to show all the, there's so many pieces to the puzzle that, whatever. Okay, I'm about to go back to where I was before I got distracted. Okay. Yes. We do not know our divine origin, so we live in filth and sin, thinking it is where we come from and what we deserve. It is common to believe humans are inherently sinful and wrongdoing, which is extremely false and can be attributed to the misleading of generations upon generations from the truth. The truth is that we are each divine sparks, and altogether, we make up the entity we know as God today. End of world sign number 5. People will lack natural affection. My source points out homosexuality here, but forgets to mention the evil act of pedophilia, including ancestral pedophilia and the lack of affection through touch we see today. Pedophilia is being inserted into movies and television as not only acceptable but sexy. Pedophiles are using platforms on social media to band together and get their hell-stricken disease normalized in society as a sexual orientation. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men have been or will be molested by an authority figure, male or female, in their lives by the age of 13. Casually affectionate touch has been diminished because of this fact of sexual assault, including rape and date rape, being so common. People have resorted to only touching intimately through sex, in anger during a fight, or in brief politeness or brief shows of affection during handshakes, hugs, or kisses. That one's a tough one. But end of world sign number 6. Despisers of those that are good. It is more favorable and sexy to be a rebel, an asshole, or a sinner than to be a loving person who does good. People laugh at and take advantage of good people with the excuse that good people have an unrealistic view of a bad world. These are all signs given in the Revelations to John, as well as a specific mentioning of the time of one power nation being the last kingdom, which has been believed to be fulfilled by the rise of America. He also speaks of a time where the nation would be united in peace under one leader for some time, believed to be fulfilled by the presidency of Barack Obama, America's first black president. This time period of peace was professed to be followed by a period of time where basically all hell would break loose under a subsequent leader, believed to be in the process of being fulfilled by the presidency of Donald Trump. All these signs indicate that the time has come for the return of the Messiah, known as Jesus Christ in America. After these signs were given by the prophet John, he goes on to describe what will happen during the rapture, and after an account of a trip to heaven, where he received visions of the end and of the Lamb or Jesus Christ, standing on Mount Zion with 144,000 followers with his name and his Father's name printed on their foreheads. These are blameless people who follow Christ closely. This prophecy is 22 chapters long, so what I've described so far is just a summary of a book with many details and a lot of symbolism and metaphors. As I was saying, I would be happy to do a series on the book, studying it further if y'all want. But basically, the prophecy tells of great destruction and spiritual turmoil that ends with the worthy people going to a place of peace away from the evil and chaos on earth. So, moving on from the early Christians, there are a few relevant Hopi prophecies that either have been fulfilled or have yet to be. One prophecy that has yet to be fulfilled is the prophecy of a great war, commonly known as World War III. The Hopi called this war a spiritual conflict with material matters. Material matters would be destroyed by spiritual beings who will remain to create one world and one nation under one power, that of the Creator. It is professed this war will have what we know as nuclear bombs in today's terms and will be started by the people who first received the light, indicating Eastern countries and continents, including China, Palestine, India, and Africa. The Hopi people tell us there are 9 worlds. We have lived through 3, are currently in the 4th, and as the signs indicate, the 5th world will emerge soon. They also tell us about the shift of the Earth's axis, calling it Koyaanisqatsi, meaning world out of balance, a state of life that calls for another way. Koyaanisqatsi. Along with the signs I have mentioned that come from the Christian faith, the Hopi people have professed 9 signs of the times. The first sign is the coming of white people who claim land that isn't theirs using guns. The second sign is one of spinning wheels filled with voices, fulfilled when the white people brought their families to their stolen land on wagons. The third sign is strange beasts similar to buffalo overrunning the land, fulfilled when white people brought their cattle to this new land from their place of origin, bringing along deadly disease that contributed to the killing of the natives. The fourth sign is the land being crossed with snakes of iron or railroad tracks. The fifth sign is the land being crisscrossed by a giant spider's web, revealed to be power and telephone lines and eventually the internet. The sixth sign is the land will be crossed with rivers of stone that make pictures in the sun, revealed to be the creation of asphalt roads, the pictures being mirages created by the reflection of the sun. The seventh sign is the sea turning black and living things dying because of this, revealed to be oil spills which were prevalent all over the world, from the 1960s to the most recent one being in 2010, where 206 million gallons of oil spilled into the Gulf of Mexico. The eighth sign is the youth that grow out their hair and come to join tribal nations to learn their ways and wisdom, fulfilled by the hippie movement in the 1960s. And the final sign being a giant crash way above the Earth, believed to be fulfilled in 1979 when the U.S. space station called Skylab fell to Earth. The Hopi people took these signs as an impending great destruction where the white people battled with the Eastern peoples. Soon after, they believed Pahana, an important figure in their teachings, will return with a new religion that is not really new, to bring the great purification and the emergence into the fifth world, a concept similar to the Christian belief of the return of Christ. The Mayans gave us a message written in stone that contains 7 prophecies that include a warning, as well as a message of hope. The Mayans similarly believed in an apocalypse, and many believe the times they spoke of are happening today. The message of hope they left us is a little different than the message of the other 2 prophecies I included in this video. The message was that when the time comes, we must make changes in ourselves to bring humanity towards the coming new era. This era will be a time of feminine energy, the mother, and the era of sensitivity. The Mayans believed there would be signs leading up to a time where finally there would be no more conflict. So since this prophecy has 7 parts, it is long and detailed, but I'm going to try to summarize them like key points, and if y'all want, which I really want to do. I can also do a more elaborate video on this topic, the Mayan prophecy. So, the first prophecy speaks of the end of fear. The first prophecy says that our world of hatred and materialism will finish December 2012. During this time, humanity will have to choose between destroying the planet and ultimately the human species, or evolving towards a new sense of peace and harmony fueled by the knowledge that all things in nature are conscious. This prophecy also includes an elaborate telling of an imbalance caused by our sun, whom they regard as a sentient being named Kinishahau. Kinishahau. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's Kinishahau. That occurs every 5,125 years. The Earth shifts on its axis and causes great cataclysm. The Mayans profess this time will last about 20 years, called a katem, in which humans will enter a last period of great learnings and changes caused by our own contamination of the planet. This period will be a time where humanity must face their own darkness and make a conscious decision to change. This period was called the Great Hall of Mirrors. Like the Hopi, the Mayans describe multiple destructions of previous worlds and civilizations. The Mayans believe that as each civilization is destroyed, and as new ones take the place of the old ones, humankind is evolving and ascending in consciousness. The second prophecy told of an eclipse happening that would change the behavior of man. More energy would be received from the center of the galaxy and will raise the vibration of the universe, the sun, and the earth, causing physical changes to the sun and the earth and behavior differences in people, allowing everything in the universe to become more perfect. During this time, people's values and beliefs will change, and our collective fears will be faced so that we may raise our collective vibration to match the vibration of the changing atmosphere. An important part of the prophecy that makes it unique is the idea that people will experience hell and heaven together, depending on individual behavior. This prophecy tells us that we decide our own destiny. The third prophecy says that an increase in the world's temperature will occur, and it will be caused by man and the sun. This prophecy also points out that humanity will be given the chance to decide to destroy the earth by keeping with destruction causing this change, or to fix it. The fourth prophecy says that sea levels will rise due to major ice caps melting because of the climate change. People who live near the sea, which is roughly 50% of the population of the world, will be affected by these changes. The fifth, sixth, and seventh prophecies tell of great economic struggle, a comet, and additional energy coming to the earth that will cause an evolution in the human that will allow humans a new sense that will let us speak through telepathy or communicating through thought alone. The seventh prophecy also states that this new development in the human mind will begin a time of total transparency because people won't be able to hide their thoughts and intentions. Each human will then be responsible for their own thoughts and actions, and shortly after, the current government will be replaced by one of harmony. Money, race, borders, and the concept of private property will fall away as humanity evolves towards light and perfection. Also, poverty will come to an end. During this time, humans will begin to see that we are all part of one giant whole that includes the sun, the earth, and the whole galaxy. These are three of many worldviews that tell of destruction and the emergence of a new world that will come once the earth has been thrown off balance by the creations of man. The advancement of technology, the separation of humanity from its divine source through man-made creations, and a fall from morality, as well as the imbalance of the Earth's natural environment are all clear signs and indications that have been foretold for thousands of years, that truly the world will change soon, and it will change drastically. Let this message fill you with encouragement and hope for a bright future for the ones who will live to see it and for generations to come. So that's all I have for today's video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Comment anything you want to add. Comment any questions you have. Comment any corrections you have. And subscribe. And I will see you next time.